Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Day 11 Talking Horses here in Saratoga, presented by Saratoga Springwater. Greg Wolf and Andy Serling. As we got very lucky yesterday that all that rain never really hit us at all.
I didn't say anything yesterday
No,
about
I wasn't
the weather.
referring to you. You made a couple of remarks, but I wasn't even referring to you getting the weather wrong on a daily basis. But no, it's just there was rain predicted. It could have been come as early as 1 in the afternoon, and none of it hit us. Sometimes you're lucky, and sometimes you're not.
I think I'd say don't want to be a weatherman here, but you can be because it doesn't matter because
it's impossible to predict.
It's impossible
the weather.
to be right.
When you have the day like we did a number of years ago, where there was absolutely no rain predicted whatsoever, it wasn't raining in the state park, and we got a deluge and had to cancel racing mid-card on a Saturday.
Crazy.
You know that there's nothing you can do. You just sort of hope for the best. But hoping for the best, it looks like we have a glorious weekend in front of us. Obviously, Saturday, the Grade 1 is the Vanderbilt, but also the Jim Dandy, which is really the last race to lead into the Travers, the last questions to be answered. I guess the other question to be answered is whether or not Torpedo Anna will head into the Travers. And I think really the nice thing is that Greg was able to explain to me why her name is spelled Torpedo with a T-H.
Torpedo.
Torpedo. So it was really nice, Greg, because I had only seen the story and read about who she was named after.
It's nice to know you pay attention on your own show.
I do pay attention. I'm just, my brain isn't smart enough.
No, I've had moments like that too. Don't worry. It happens to all of us.
She's named for a terrific, she was here. The actual Torpedo was here.
Yeah, to witness that Coaching Club American Oaks win.
That was pretty cool.
She's pretty darn fast, too, in the swimming pool.
Yes, a pair of Torpedoes. And we'll find out if she's going to head to the Alabama or if she's going to take on the boys in the Travers, but I'll find all those answers out sometime in the next few weeks. We've got 10 to talk about today. We're fast, we're firm. Let's head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than the present. Use the promo code SPA250 and we'll match the $250 of your initial deposit. Track stats, check them out when you're over at Naira Bets as well. Middle pick 4, races 2, 3, and 7 on today's card, 10-race card. 16% superfecta bonus. Opt in over at Naira Bets for that. 16%.
It's better than 15.
Better than 15, worse than 17. $40 buy-in for the feeder contest. That's on Fridays. You have until post time tomorrow to sign up for that. Head over to nairabets.com/contest and the show today from 1 to 6:30. Race number 1, 5.5 furlongs on the turf. You have gone to the 7, Lady Delilah for Jimmy Ferraro.
Yeah, I mean, I thought long and hard about the 4, who's wound up being my backup in here. But, yeah, I go to Lady Delilah. The Dam produced a 7-time winner on the grass. It was a stakes winner sprinting, earned $346,000. The second Dam was a 5-time winner on the turf, who was a stakes winner. And Solomini's, okay, 9% in turf sprints to this point. Horse, allegedly, DRF clock report showed a little bit of life. Working out, some finish. And I decided to try and go with a price in this race, in a race that looks somewhat wide open to me.
Yeah, Jimmy Ferraro, the trainer, has only run 2 two-year-old turf sprinting first-time starters here over the last 5 years. One of them, I believe, was General Banker, the good New York bred he has, that's in against Speakeasy on Saturday. And I believe ran second at a very big price. So he has done that, and we'll see if Jimmy can get this one. I've included as well. I saw the same things that you did. I went to the other direction, the 4 Heavenly Light. We'll take a look at the workout. Nothing really that exciting, but, you know, I didn't think this horse was that hard-ridden, just kind of allowed to gallop down the stretch. And there's some pedigree there. The Dam was a 2-time winner in 7 starts, a big, good sprinter. It's the second foal. First one didn't do much running, but this one's a City of Light who have done some decent running. And Horacio de Paz does not have great numbers with his 2-year-old first-time stars. And he's 0 for 5 with the sprinters as well. But 3 of them hit the board, and they seem to be pretty live. I went to the pedigree. I also thought another long shot besides the 7 that might be a little interesting is the 5 on a summer day for John Pregman. Reaching out to Javier Castellano, and this was a half to a turf winner. I remember that good first-time 2-year-old he had a couple years ago. She's still a pretty good New York bred. She was doing well last year. I don't know if she's run this year. But she lost by like a bob with the Apprentice at 40 to 1. I think you, Richie, and I were on the show and kind of got in a little bit of trouble in the race in the stretch, and then Javier rode the next time, and the horse won by a pole. So I thought it was a little interesting for John Pregman, who's a trainer who just doesn't have many good horses, but can get a winner if he's got a horse that can run.
Yeah, I mean, back to Heavenly Light, too. I mean, the Dam 4th in the Coronation Cup against, remember, Morticia? Was only beat about a length in the quarter. Morticia.
Oh, Morticia, sure. Rusty Arnold.
And was also great stakes place sprinting on the grass. So, yeah, I think there's quite a few things to like with the 4 in here.
I just don't want to take the 10. I've got fourth, you've got third for Tom Morley. I know the horse ran okay first time out, and that may have been a pretty decent field, but I kind of want to go in a different direction. Just
Okay.
find some new faces.
Through the 1 and 2, I have it fourth, but wouldn't surprise me in here. Tyler Gaffalione off to a good start, and the Dam actually won the first 2 races over in Great Britain, sprinting on the grass.
And Melanie had a firster on the turf yesterday at 5.5 furlongs, run a decent second in yesterday's second race, race number 2. Let's start the conversation in race number 2 with the number 6, Condiment Girl. And, what do you do with these kind of horses? And it's not a kind of horse that I want to let beat me. Having said that, runs a big race, comes back, runs lousy at 4 to 5, claimed by Linda, and then the horse is terrible in the race. She claimed it. Now she's dropping it for 10. She might just win because of who she's facing, but Greg, I'm not taking her on top.
It has all the earmarks of this was a claim that didn't work out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And when
It
the horse
didn't.
was running big figures, Diodoro, Atris, tough, even for Linda Rice. I mean, for anyone, tough barns to claim off of and keep that form, especially move forward.
Especially when you consider that Diodoro has the horse, was suspended, obviously, so lost the horse.
Yeah.
Horse gets one more good race and then just completely falls apart.
Big red
and falls
flag.
apart for Rob Atris, right, who's a good trainer, and that's just a bad sign.
I agree. That's why I steered clear of this. Where I mean, I have
Mon
her
Petit
third.
Choux. So basically, it's a Lane Luzzy early double for you today.
Yeah, we'll see. The other Wayne Potts is interesting too, but I just thought there were some things, as I said, with that, I think the one's the horse to beat. But Mon Petit Choux, I'm going to give this horse another chance because she was running against a pretty good company of 40,000 claiming, allowance optional claiming, 62,000, and running competitively against those groups. The last start last year when she went to the bench, it was a wet track. Obviously, something went wrong. I'm going to give her that, off from July 4th until April 28th race back. I think she could do a little bit better than that. She needed that race and now drops in against easier against 10. If she can run just a little bit, I think she's going to be a factor in this group.
She does have back races that are good enough to make her competitive. I thought she had lost her form, but I don't want to take a stand against anyone, especially at a price in a race like this. And as far as another day gone by, I'm a little worried about the fact that the horse was scratched for 62.5, I think, recently down at Monmouth. But I see Jimmy Riccio shipping up here, and I think that's a good sign. Turnbacks for Greg Sacco going from routes to sprints. He's got reasonably good numbers and thought the horse was a little bit more reliable in the recent form than a horse like the 6. And I thought the 2 are funny business, a little bit interesting coming in from out of town for kind of wise guy connections. We'll take a look at the race at Parks last time out.
Really wanted to
Finished
use
second.
her. She comes from so far out of it.
I agree. Her lack of speed is a real problem, and there isn't a lot of speed, and I think that may help your horse, Mon Petit Choux. But these are connections that scare me coming up here.
Yeah, and look, the races she's run, they put her right in the mix. She's just going to have a lot of work to do. And, the rate, the form, the fact that I'm not scared to take Parks horses ever. You know that.
No.
But I don't love the fact that it was, for a barn, we don't see a lot of New York come from Parks with this horse. Going to try and come from so far. That's just a move at Saratoga you don't see on dirt track win a lot.
It's hard to read also a lot of the ownerships because sometimes there's a crossover of horses claimed by certain owners that end up in other barns and situations. I'm not sure what to make of this horse. This is a trainer, though, that's won at a high percentage, even though it's 1 for 5 at Naira with 2 hitting the board, and the winner was a pretty big price. We'll see what happens. I guess this is a race where I feel like you want to let Condiment Girl beat you, but I don't know. It depends if you have prices. I mean, if your 7 wins the first race and you play the pick 5, you've got to use Condiment Girl. You can't get eliminated when she wins.
Yeah.
I think.
I'll just go back to the one real quick, too. That filly that beat her last time out. That's a filly that's won 4 in a row. So.
But Vegas weekend is not exactly that good. So, but there's some mixed signals about that race. Race number 3. I really wanted to pick against Idea Generation in race 3, and you have. And we'll take a look at her finishing second in the Weah when she was able to control in a very slow pace in a 4-horse field, which she's not going to control in this race. And ultimately, Chad Brown, I found some stats. Turf routes off 6 to 12-month layoffs. His numbers are okay. At Saratoga, he's 13 for 49 with a 224 ROI, so the ones he brings back do win. And with horses going 10 furlongs or longer off of 6 to 12-month layoffs, he's 5 for 15 with a 243 ROI. He's 1 for 3 in Saratoga with a big ROI. He just seems to have them ready. My problem with her is I don't know how good she is, but I couldn't make a strong enough case for anybody else in here. I'm
just
not proud of this pick.
I look at her and look, maybe they found the key. She wants to do a marathon route on the turf. She only has that one race. That's the only race that stands out in this field.
I agree.
Every other race, she's just middle of the pack in here. And she she was second in a 4-horse field. Fine, it was a grade 3. But she did it loping along on the front end, going extremely slow. I'm just not impressed by that effort. But having said that,
I agree. She's dressed
that
up
figure
off
did
that
move
effort.
forward. I'm not a believer in it.
I think her race 3 back would make her tough in here. She did not run well in the Virginia Oaks. I'm not going to sit here and defend her. The problem was I didn't like other horses in this race, like High Stick. Okay, I think High Stick ran well last time in Monmouth. I think I've got her second. You've got her second. I think she ran the best race of anybody here. She engaged in the pace. The winner got a very good ride and a good trip to beat her. Having said that, she's 1 for 8 with 5 seconds and thirds. The only race she won was cruising along on the front end. I don't know that she's going to be able to get the lead in this race with horses like the 1A, who you have to imagine is going in time. So I'm not sure she's the main speed. Maybe she is. I like her, but she's not a winning type. But I guess she's the logical other horse.
She is. I think she is. And it was a pretty good figure. She could be tactical and forward in there. I don't know if she's going to get the lead, but she'll be forward. And I upgrade every single horse on the grass when Jose Lezcano's aboard. I wound up going.
You went a little nuts here.
I went to a huge long shot. I don't know if it's that nuts. I mean, big price. She probably should not be the number she's going to be in this race. And fact that it's connections, she's going to be a much bigger price. She should as well. But you look at the one time she won a mile and 3/8. That was one of the better races she's ever run in her career. She was third behind Ever Summer. Beat a length. She got a figure that's in the ballpark even of Idea Generation's best ever performance if she could move forward a touch off that. The winner of that race actually was second in the R.G. Dick Memorial by a neck.
Was that the race where Ray Handelshorst that won the turf sprint of the weekend was eased? It might have been. I'm not sure.
Not sure.
Maybe Steve will text me on that.
Today's third off the bench for her. She's getting back to what is probably going to be her best distance. And she had no chance last time out. She was just incredibly wide in that race. I'm going to throw that race out. And she has paired up numbers, too. I think she takes a step forward today and can be a player.
She's a very big price in a race where there isn't a lot going on. So the last thing I'm going to do is knock her. I didn't like Justin I off the maiden win. I didn't like the race that she was coming out of. And the problem with horses like Haystack and In Time is they're an entry, and I don't really like either one of them. I wanted to mention one other. No, I mean, Sacred Image comes out of, I think, a weaker field in general, lost to In Time. I just ran out of ideas here, and I ended up, this was the last race I made picks for, and I copped out with the favorite because I simply didn't find anybody else that I wanted to bet. But I don't have a problem with somebody trying to beat her. Race number 4, speaking of favorites, the number 9 Pilates Sisters in race number 4. I mean, I see you and I. Listen, you hate to be moto, and I'm absolutely baffled by some of the results we saw in turf races yesterday. Can't figure out how the races were run. They put up crazy slow paces, yet the closers were winning. Are those paces real? I had a lot of trouble with yesterday's turf races, and winners who I never could have had, nor I didn't like at all. But geez, the Pilates Sisters, look at this Delaware race. I mean, I guess Graham is sort of saying she's not going to win a non-winners at 2. And I'm dropping her for 35. She's going to get claimed in here. And if you're scared about that, bet against her. But I just think she's too good for these horses.
And, the thing I actually like about that race, and it was at Delaware and, probably softer competition, but she's relatively, that was her second start back. She dominated this group, and she showed good speed out of the get-up. And she was up forward right on it, and that's going to allow Manny Franco, I think, to kind of position her wherever he wants her to be in this race.
Yeah, I'm not trying to beat a horse that's going to now be a very, very heavy favorite. One of the reasons I think she's also tough to beat is, as we take a look at her chief competition, LA Fort, she doesn't win. She's 2 for 23 with 10 seconds. And isn't this a classic example? Though I will say, in fairness to her, Pentagon is okay. She hasn't come back since that race, a horse for Suge McGay, but she had good back form. In a way, she had similar form, if you think about it, to the favorite here, Pilates Sisters.
Yeah, I'm with you, though. It's so many runner-up finishes. You start at this point to question that will to win a little bit. 2 for 22 overall with those 10 runner-ups. I do think you look at this field, it's almost like a slam dunk exacta to me. These are the 2 to beat, and I just don't trust LA Fort and her will to win. I just think there's a lot more upside with Pilata Sisters, who I think was pretty good early on, too. It showed some precocity.
Except you say there's upside with her, but then why would Graham be running her in a $35,000 claiming race? And I'm not saying I get
Relative
what you're
to this
saying.
field, sorry.
No, I get what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I think that's the question you have to ask. On paper, she's way the horse to beat, but you do have to ask yourself, why is Graham dumping this horse?
Yeah.
And Madacat, of course, I want to say that Jim Pilata, I'm assuming this is somewhat named for Jim Pilata, who owned the Roma soccer team, owned or owns, I'm not sure exactly. Got a big following on Twitter about that. You can look it up, or I could look it up. Anyway, if somebody else wins this race, I'm not going to have them, Greg. I don't want anybody else in
Yeah,
here.
I'm with you.
I've got Tap It Up third out of respect for getting back to Jimmy Ryerson's barn. And her races aren't that bad. I mean, she didn't finish that far behind L.A. Fort last time Jimmy Ryerson had her. Nice put over by Jimmy Ryerson yesterday. I love a guy who gets a horse. And you know what I loved about the interview? That was that maiden. It was 5-1 with Dylan. And Dylan is really riding well. When we interviewed him after the race, I think Maggie interviewed him, and she said, you know, was that like turf race the first time out, sort of to get a race into her? And Jimmy said, no, I thought she'd basically said, no, I thought she'd do well on the turf.
Yeah.
At least didn't go up there and it wasn't a lot of trainer speak BS. He
They fool everyone sometimes, right? Yeah. I'll just say real quick, the last one, I do think the 6 has a chance to step forward. It's third off the bench.
I agree.
She
could be forward here, too,
I just
right?
don't think anywhere near as good as the 7 or 9.
What about the 10 next on stage, who's going to be forward here, trying the turf for the first time? I mean, it is a Scat Daddy mare, and it is a Liam's map, so even though there isn't pedigree from the production of the dam side, there is turf in that family.
Sprint speed.
Yeah, and the horse improved for Rossio, who's doing well at this meet, so I guess that's the fuzzy. I didn't like the horse you had her fourth. Race number 5, and we'll take a break after race number 5. Well, race number 5 has a very big drop down in this race in the number 1A, Unlimited Potential, and we'll take a look at the race at Keeneland. I mean, 2 races back at Keeneland, this horse finally breaks his maiden. He beats a horse in Reynolds Channel that 2 starts later, breaks his maiden here, and gets a 90 buyer for Lee Einslauer. Actually runs slightly faster than the Todd Pletcher Centennial horse, winning his non-winners of 1 that had broken its maiden on Belmont Stakes weekend, and runs, you know, ticks faster than that horse. And
this is a horse that they've always been high on, too, Reynolds Channel.
Right. Reynolds Channel. Lee's high on every horse he has for every start he ever makes. So but this is the horse that some will remember ran second, a distance second to Expressman, the stablemate who got a 107 buyer, and this was the one they liked. I remember asking Ira Ortiz after the race, and I said, weren't you riding the one that was supposed to win? And he said, that's what they told me.
Horse finally put it together 2 back. Isn't this a quick give up, or no?
Yeah, and I mean, even the last race, I know the horse was beating a pole, but the horse was involved in sort of a tough pace with the winner of the race, so it's not like, I mean, there is clearly a hole the size
How many
of, like,
claims
you know,
are going to be in for this horse?
A black, like, there's this enormous hole in this horse somewhere. Oh, the entire place is lining up at the racing office to claim this horse. And I know Mike Rapoli will drop to win here. I'm sorry. You don't drop $750,000 horses in for $16,000 that 2 races ago finally broke their maiden after a lot of frustration.
With an 87
at
buyer.
Saratoga to win a race. Now, I'm not trying to beat the horse, and you aren't either, but man, are there red flags. The thing is, the entry could win as well. So, and I don't think you're getting even money.
No chance.
But I would never single this entry.
I think it's a quick drop down on Whiskey and Soda as well.
I do
Both
too.
these two. It's like they just don't fit the program for these connections, right? They have horses that are too good that win races that are the premier races on the planet. So move them out of the barn.
This is quite the drop. I mean, it's less bad for Whiskey and Soda, but you're not wrong. Whiskey and Soda is running the field. He had no chance in last time, and the maiden win wasn't that bad. So you've got horses that may well run 1-2 here, but there are a lot of red flags. I agree with you. I think the absolute backup is Tom Morley's horse, Masterwork.
Yeah.
And I will use the 9 in this race.
Yeah, there's actually quite a bit to like, and the horse is new gelding now, and maybe that puts this Mines horse on business and can finish a little bit better, but the horse is run decent, too, at 1 1/8. So I thought, if those red flags show up and there's a reason that there's that big drop that we don't know about, this is the horse you want.
And Flying P, I believe, had 2 wins on yesterday's card, and their horses are really running. So I think this is far and away the clear backup in this race if you want to have a horse to save a little bit against the favorite entry. But, man, you do see some drop-downs in Saratoga, but this is pretty extreme. We'll see what happens in race number 5. It kicks off the pick 6. Maybe you construct a big pick 6 ticket, singling that entry. What are you thinking? And then you'll know right away if you've lost. And
then you jump right into pick 5.
Start drinking immediately.
Yeah.
We'll be back with a late pick 5 after a quick break.
Born in the foothills of the Adirondacks over 150 years ago, the Saratoga brand has become synonymous with quality. Carefully crafted spring water. Each stunning blue glass bottle is created with the same attention to detail and care that has been the Saratoga hallmark for generations. So open a bottle, take a sip, and savor the Saratoga experience. Saratoga, an American classic that's always in good taste. Make every day exquisite.
Hi, we're back. He's Greg Wolf. I'm Andy Serling. I'm switching roles here with Greg. We will be on the Late Show together. Race number 6. What'd you do in race number 6? You went to Brink. Wow. You got a couple of big prices in your early selections here.
I don't think there's any superstars in this race. And I looked at Brink's race. It was an open company race in Monmouth. It was an even money favorite. This horse was chasing. Legitimate bumped. He got sharply steadied in that race, had to back out of the race, and then makes this huge move wide to rush up. He showed some real ability to me after that trouble to make a move in that race. Had every right to get tired late in that spot. I actually like the ability he showed there. I think second time out, without trouble, he could be a factor here.
And you got Edmund Davis, Dylan's brother, trained the horse. He's like Zeppo. You know, like the Marx brothers that didn't get the credit because there's Katie, there's Jackie, there's Dylan. We only talk about them. We never talk about him. And he's, Chico, Groucho, and Harpo got all the attention, and he's
Like
there.
Archie Manning. I'm sorry.
What would Robbie be?
Who's the other Manning brother?
There's Eli, and there's what's the other one's name?
Peyton.
Oh, right. Which one? Eli was with the Giants, right?
Yeah, probably. Some say he was
Peyton
the best
was really
quarterback.
Good. Right. Yeah, he was really good. I don't watch a lot of football.
Okay.
But I have heard of those guys. I am the guy.
If you have an opportunity, take a look at that race from Brink and see that trouble because it was legitimate.
Listen, I agree. There's not a lot going on in this race, at least on paper.
Okay.
I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna. You're taking a big price, and we have 8 different horses in this race.
And I'll just say real quick, Butta too. That's the Dam produced Lobster, produced Chowda, who are both stakes winners. Some pedigree. I don't think either of them won. Actually, I think did win first time out, Lobster. But yeah, another Lane Leslie horse. I love Lane Leslie today.
Yeah, you're all about Lane Leslie today.
Could have a big
you're
day.
Really, and you should have like a Lane Leslie shirt or something wearing. See if those are available. I, on the other hand, went to a horse that's, I think, the favorite in the morning line, in the chase. But I mean, Carlos David is 20% with 2-year-old first-time stars in dirt sprints, an ROI $1.74. He's New York price. He's 1 for 4 with chewing the board and a positive ROI. This horse is a half to Little Lulu, who had a lot of speed. So I'm kind of hoping that this horse, there's a little turfy in there, but there's a half to a pretty fast horse, and I just went to this horse with Manny Franco, but I don't have any information.
Always Aware was a first out winner who this one produced.
I like that this horse shipped to Saratoga to start working before the meet, too, knowing they would run here as a New York bred. We have one horse the same, the Ken McPeak horse. I didn't love the workout on this horse, but I thought the pedigree enough, and I'm interested in the Instagrams.
You didn't like what?
I didn't love the workout, the 10 2/5, the 2-year-old sale.
Oh, okay.
But I'm interested in the Instagrams. I know Chad Brown had mentioned to me that he had some Instagrams he thought were okay.
10 and a quarter length win on the best pal.
Yeah, he was one of the best 2-year-olds in the country. I think his owner announced late in the season he was not going to run the Triple Crown races. Yeah. He was right. I want to say he ran the Gotham.
Did he?
And lost as the favorite in the Gotham. I feel like that may have been his 3-year-old debut.
Dan, by the way, produced Praetorian Guard, who ran third to a pretty good horse named Post Time.
Post Time's a very good horse.
And apparently, DRF Clock Report says this horse has had a pretty good drill.
Okay. Well, I've got him in there. I've got the 10. Book it with Haddad. My problem with this horse is, you know what Horacio De Paz's numbers are with 2-year-old first-time starters in dirt sprints? And you're the head of the Lane Leslie fan club. I am the head of the Horacio De Paz fan club.
Okay.
It's 1 for 38. Horacio.
This Dam, though, half-sister to Sapling winner, Western Smoke, and Grade 1 Santa Anita Derby winner, second place finisher, One Lucky Dane. So there's some pedigree.
The Dam is half, right?
Yeah.
This is a first foal. Okay. Liam's Maps. We'll see. Did sell cheaply. We'll see what happens. Race number 6 kicks off the late pick 5. Be able to see the prices there. Race number 7. Race number 7 got dramatically changed when the One Kingdom came out of this race. Because with Kingdom out of the race, the whole Panay scenario changes, and the horse that I moved to second, that you have on top, Print Rack, becomes extremely dangerous this race. We'll take a look at his race where he beat Magnolia Midnight last time out.
I was initially trying to beat this horse, and just with the changes in here, especially with the 4 coming out, I can't do it. I think with those changes, the 1 as well. Print Rack
the 1 was even faster.
Absolutely the horse to beat in here. Love 7/8 as well. I can't see past him now with who's come out.
I'm not going to argue with you. I'm betting against him in here because I like a horse in this race, but he's been in raging form. He's won at 7 furlongs. He's some weird bugs around here. And then like Dot Stoller, who's going to take a lot of money in this race. I have him 4th. You have him nowhere. We show his last race. This was a gold rail last time, and I know it was a 40 claimer. I don't think it was that good a field, and he just got an absolutely perfect trip from Flavien Prat. I don't see him beating Print Rack, do you?
How do you feel, like Belmont Stakes Racing Festival, do you feel a lot of those numbers that week might have been a little inflated?
They're coming back and being backed up. I mean, think about the Ways and Means figure, the 104. The second horse got the 89, her second start, a big move up. But she's the horse that was chasing the runoff in the Wilton, and she opened up and got nailed. And she came back after an arduous trip with an 87. So she basically backed up that number. I think we saw horses that finished behind General Partner, I believe, have backed to the numbers. So we saw some big
Ride got a
figs.
a 114,
a
111?
10 or 111,
111.
yeah. He's going
111
to,
at least.
He's going to the Whitney.
Subrogate got a 106.
No, Subrogate was at Aqueduct. Subrogate won with a 99. Subrogate got a 99. He beat Looms Boldly, and that was the big one number that didn't make sense for Looms Boldly. Then they came back to Aqueduct, and Subrogate ran the 106.
Okay.
A lot of races in your brain. You're turning into me.
There's several other numbers, though, that were inflating. And I'm not saying that's the case.
There were a lot of big figures that weekend, but I'll put it this way, the 99 seemed high for Subrogate. He comes back and runs a 106. So, I don't know, these numbers are getting, and I mean, I think that the Ways and Means number is a little hard to believe, though. Listen, you're talking about a horse that ran a 90 Beyer in her debut. She had a right to be very fast, and I think what Ways and Means has really showed in a lot of ways is how good Torpedo Anna is.
Yeah.
The fact that Torpedo Anna,
the very good
hard.
elite horses, they're going to run there. Those are ones you don't have to pick
But even
apart.
Also Rans behind them ran well.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not sure why. But what horse are you referring to that's coming from Belmont Stakes weekend?
No, it's something in general that I want to pay attention to going forward. Reddington, for you, by the way, you've not. I've tried to sell you on this horse time and time again, and you've never liked this. Why do you like him today?
Well, no. What I said was I couldn't believe a horse that was claimed out of a $20,000 claiming race was sold at auction for $120,000.
Yeah.
That was something that seemed nuts to me. I think you have to have some relative understanding of their values. And this horse has been in just preposterous spots. Ran against Bendoug and Cascade and Mystical Curlin. I mean, that was like a grade 1 allowance.
Donegal Momentum's going to be in the Amsterdam.
Yeah, then ran against Mystical Curlin trying to get a 1 1/8. I don't know that this horse even wants a 1 1/8. And actually was in that Just Call Ray race and was battling it out, and I think actually ran okay. And then last time out, got caught out in the middle of the racetrack. It was a gold rail that day. So this horse is as dirtied up as a horse could be. And finally, they found at least a reasonable spot because they found a starter allowance, which he's eligible for because of the claiming races. And now, yes, I agree. Beating Print Rack is not going to be easy. I'm not. But you know what? He's not that slow. Obviously, he's not as fast as Print Rack, but he's not a plodding bum. He's got enough speed that he could put himself in position, and today is the day for him. I don't expect to get 8-1, but I'll be very happy to get 5-1 or 9-2 on him.
All right. Now, let me just say about Got Thunder real quick. Went a little bit slower than the race prior, but he did get a win last time out. But the race before that, he was second to Little Knee. Little Knee almost beat Bookham Dano. And I understand that.
Got a 101 Beyer.
Yeah. I mean, that's a serious racehorse. We were on air for that race, weren't we?
We were.
Yeah. So I think
you said before the race that you thought Little Knee was going to give him a race. You were right.
He becomes a little interesting to me.
Yeah, I got Jacobson right once this meet, so I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to move on.
Hard to figure out.
If I get them once right. So race number 8. I'm not going to try to beat Dolomite in race number 8. You are. I'm not. We'll show his maiden win. I mean, this is a horse that ran a 72 buyer, 2 back, beating Money Grub, who was okay, burying that horse. I don't think ran great in the Demoiselle because was close to a slow base, saving ground there, but was running figures. I looked up some stats with Chad Brown. His numbers coming back with non-maidens off long layups and dirt sprints are very solid. Overall, turning back cutting back from routes to sprints, 6 to 12 month layups on the dirt. He's 6 for 23, 13 hitting the board, 220 ROI. I know this is a moto favorite, but I'm going to pick this horse on top. But I am very scared of the horse that you picked.
I look at Dolomite. People, I don't understand why she's supposed to be 8-5 because people see a grade 2 in a race that was not very good. With an overrated life talk in that race. I don't love those efforts. And yeah, my main squeeze, who turned into a very good horse,
Shimmering Laura
she wasn't that good in that first time out. She
changed. Yes, she got much better. I don't.
So
disagree.
I'm not. And she may win this race.
Well, she did. I mean, to be fair, hang on. She did run a high 70s buyer in her debut in that race, the My Man Squeeze race. So she did hint that she could be pretty good. Not saying you expect her to win the 8 bells off that race, but
yeah. But she was nowhere near what. And she's not separated herself, Dolomite, from any of these horses, even if she does move forward a little bit.
Well, she raced to move forward and run in the 80s. The question becomes La Banquera as we show her, and I've got her second. I'm obviously scared of her. I don't mind her. I'm not going to pay attention to her last race. She didn't get out of the gate. It's a sloppy track. Her race was over 5 strides out of the gate. The problem with this race is I don't know how much you can trust this fig because, unfortunately, horses have not run back out of it. Yeah.
25 points lower, 16 points lower, 32 points lower for the top 3 finishers.
Yeah. Now, no, to be fair, the winner, the second horse in the race ran back in the turf. So I don't want to make much of that.
Yeah.
But you're right about the third horse. Came back 25 points lower, and this is a huge, huge fig. And they were 5+ lengths clear of the third horse. But it is a figure that, at the very least, you wonder if it's really legit.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. What did Thoroughgraph do with it?
It was huge.
Okay, because Timeform US had a little lower, but not that much lower.
If she can repeat that number, no one has a chance in this race at all.
Yeah, so, I mean, listen, I've got her second, and maybe at 4-1 she's better, but I don't agree with Dave. I think David may be right, but David has an opinion that may be correct. And listen, as you know, there's almost no handicapper I have a more respect for right now in the game than David. David has talked to me about the La Banquera number, and he really thinks that race might be just too high. It might be closer to a 70.
And 16 points, 18 points
you were pointing out how slow horses have run out of it. Now, I don't feel as strongly as he does, but I have the utmost respect for his opinion, and I think that's why, because, Cruz to Catalina. Now, Cruz to Catalina,
she's dangerous.
Well, I'm curious as we show her first race. Bayer has the race slow. Timeform US has the race extremely high. They have it like 20 points higher than Bayer. My problem with this horse is this horse rode a very good rail that day, and I think was helped by the racetrack. But I'm not going to dismiss this horse, but I don't believe she'll be second choice. Do you? I thought your horse would be second
I think
choice.
La Banquera will be. Yeah, I absolutely do. But this horse is, first of all, anytime you win first time out, I give you extra credit. And yes, she may have been aided by the track that day. But she drew off, and, she didn't beat any superstars in there, but she got a figure, and maybe it was too high, but it's faster than anything Dolomite's ever run, thoroughgraph-wise.
Yeah, but Dolomite's figures were 2-year-old figures, to be fair.
I understand that. I understand.
But here's a problem with her and a potential problem with La Banquera and a potentially positive thing to Dolomite we haven't talked about. The possibility exists this pace is very honest because you've got Cruz de Catalina who has very little choice but to go, and she's fast. Is Junior really want to wrangle her back from post 2? Easy to play, has a little bit of speed, but La Banquera, if you're right about La Banquera, she's going to be forward today. And so is Newsley.
Yep.
So the possibility, there's so many possible speeds that the likelihood that this pace isn't on the least on the honest side, which is certainly going to help Dolomite breaking from the outside with her running style, that the possibility exists that she gets a dream setup in here.
She may.
And look, your point is she's a heavy favorite, and coming off a layoff, you don't think she's that good, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You may be right. I may be just completely,
And I don't have a lot of trust in La Banquera. She may be, that may have been a way overinflated number, and maybe she'll never reproduce it.
Or even maybe if it wasn't, maybe she'll never run back to it. Maybe she was cranked up to run first day, and she just won't back to it. This is a fascinating race because I think both the 2 and 5 potentially are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I even think, I have the one in there for. I think the one is one who could move forward. That's one making her 4-year-old debut. She could step forward a little, and I think she could potentially be in the mix. I don't think she's that far off anyone in here.
I think Newsley's run some very good races and been very unlucky. I just worry about there being too much speed.
Yeah.
But she is outside of the other speeds, so that could help her in here. An interesting race. We were very sorry to hear that Roses for Deborah scratched from the next race. From Christophe, I'd asked Acacia. I guess she spiked a fever a few days ago, and they've been taking care of her. And just, you have to, you want to make sure you don't run any horse. Not just the best horses. You don't run any horse under
Take
those
care of your
circumstances.
horses. They'll
Certainly,
take care of
that's
you.
not going to, right, exactly. It's not going to happen in that barn, that's for sure. It's still a pretty terrific race without. Did you think Zeitlos was sort of entered MTO-ish?
Hoping, yes.
I mean, they
no
probably were
question.
hoping it came off, but they want to run her again in the turf. This is a very, very interesting race, and also because of the inclusion of the horse that gets in off the AEs, who we'll talk
That
about.
makes it incredible. Yeah,
Let's talk about the future. See, I've taken the other horse coming out of the Intercontinental. You've taken Future Is Now, who won the race. I've taken the horse Coffee Maker, who finished second. I think Coffee Maker is going to get clear in here. I think Coffee Maker is going to wire the field.
Okay.
That's my position, and I'm sticking with it.
She's fast, right?
She's
I mean,
fast.
she's very
and
fast.
I don't think that Paco wants to engage her from the inside, because he may do it and do her in, but I don't see him surviving that to you. And he stalked her last time and beat her.
And this was off the bench. So this is the first start since October 7th in the Woodford. Comes back June 7th. You have to think she's going to have the ability to last a little bit longer today, don't you?
I'm hoping she does, and I think she's got back races that are good. I'm hoping she gets clear and she wires the field. But listen, I picked Futures Now fourth, but I have respect for her. And Mike Trumpetta's horses have really been running, the ones he's been shipping in New York.
She is really good. I think she actually takes a step forward today. She's paired up her last two starts, and she beat the horse who would have been the big favorite in this spot. She did so with no excuses.
I'm so glad this race didn't get rained off. I'm sorry Rose for Deborah's not going to play, but, there was ridiculous amounts of rain had been forecast, which fortunately never came. And I'm handicapping this race, I guess, last Friday, and I'm thinking, oh, man, this is going to get rained off again, and it's such a good race.
Yeah.
So I'm just excited, frankly, that the race is being run here, and we'll move on and take a look at the next replay I have, which is Secret Money and Run for the Hills, running second and third to Overcharged. They should have shipped Overcharged up here. She's such an awesome horse. She's really one of the cooler horses racing, and I think they both ran reasonably well, and I respect, both outfits. And I'll tell you something else. I think you have to start making sure you're not ignoring Mark Casse horses here, because they're running through walls. His horses, they're all running. 2-year-olds, maidens, but older horses. His horses are running
any trainer
great.
with at least 10 starts, he's the highest winning percentage of anyone at the meet.
It's
It's been an incredible start.
He doesn't win another race the rest of the meet. He had a good meet.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
This
He won't
mare,
believe that, but he's had a good meet.
if she can get in another race where it comes up, her dirt race last time out that came off, she blitzes anyone in this field, including Zeitlos.
I thought she's a little bit slower than these on the turf overall, but, it gets to question the pace. If you think the pace gets hot, she has a big chance. If you don't, then she's really compromised in this race. And now we'll get to Danse Macabre. Isn't that how you?
Yes, very well
Greg
said.
sent the
Perfect.
pronunciation to all of us. I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you. I hang on your every word. I'll tell you something about, I'm a fan of this filly, and this is her win over Don't Look Back at all at Aqueduct. I'll tell you one thing about her. She always shows up. I mean, look at her record. She always shows up. She's run 10 times with 5 wins, 4 seconds, and a third.
And to do that on a grass sprinting, that's tough.
And not only sprinting, she won a route race too. But you're right on sprints. This is a very, very tough spot to come back as a 4-year-old. But she also could be a horse takes a step forward as a 4-year-old. And I wonder, it's funny. I'm looking at her and I'm realizing that she is a big part of the fact that Army Mule has good stats on the turf, right?
Yeah, probably, right?
Yeah, for sure, because he's relatively young.
I thought
I like
Longshot,
this horse. Yeah,
Yeah, she's fun. I mean,
Freedom Speaks.
I've been a big
who was
fan.
scratched out of the Honorable Miss to run here.
yeah, look, she's undefeated sprinting on the turf. She's had a Saratoga a couple summers ago, and then won the Music City at Kentucky Downs. I think she's, obviously had a lot of gaps in those running lines, but I think she has talent, and now getting back to where she's run some of her best races, I don't think she's good enough to beat Futures now. She runs her A race.
She's a little interesting. I don't disagree with you. She's got races that make her a little bit interesting in here, and I don't disagree with you. Let's talk about the 11, Star Guest. What I would say about Star Guest is She is not running against particularly good horses. I think the horse that won her last race was 5th in a Group 2, 3rd in a Group 2, not that bad. I think they're sort of placing in group races. Turf Sprinter's not that good, but I guess the thing about it is she's one of the ones that Charlie Appleby bought over here. And to just say, running against lesser horses in Europe, she's not any good. His track record of breeding horses
They're
here
all good from that barn.
that aren't good enough, pretty infrequent.
It is. The depth of that barn is incredible. What he's done here in the States is incredible. You have to pay attention to every single horse that he sends out.
He ran Star
This is a tough group, though.
This is a tough group. And the other thing is, turf sprinters in Europe are not really stronger than our turf sprinters. So it's not the same as turf routers, where they might be listed horses there and they can compete in a Group 3 or even a grade 3 or grade 2 here. It's a little bit tougher, but still, I'm not going to, I'll put it this way, I'm not taking a big position against this guy, especially when he's not going to be a super short price. You feel like if you missed the pick 5 because he won and paid $11.60, you kind of feel like an idiot, wouldn't you? A bigger idiot. Then you get to race number 10, which might be the most complicated race of the day, and I copped out with Chad Brown. And so did you.
I don't think it's a cop-out, to be honest.
No,
Look, the horse is 7-2. Dakota Country, there's a lot to like with, but I don't see how you look at the race from last time out and say, I like Dakota Country over Koru.
I completely agree with that. Completely agree with that. Show the race.
They both early on saved ground on the rail. Koru was behind Dakota Country, and then Koru had to swing wide to make this big triple. Dakota Country sat inside the whole way. I like the finish from Koru a lot better.
This is, in my opinion, one of the most interesting races that we ran the entire meeting at Aqueduct for a trip handicapper. There were 3 races on that course that day. 2 of them were completely dominated by horses in the inside. Speaking of the genius David Aragona, he's coming in right now, doing an impromptu autograph session with his dad. 2 of them were dominated by inside horses. The other one was a little iffy, so I wasn't confident it was a gold rail, but I had noted that in the track trends. This is one of the craziest rail races I've ever seen in my entire life. The winner, Rabajo, is coming back. Is it tomorrow or Saturday?
15 to
Jimmy
1
Bond
for
horse.
Jimmy, 85
yes,
buyer.
Yes, that was my redemption. That was redemption day after I embarrassed myself the entire Belmont Stakes weekend. That horse rode the rail. Dakota Country never left the rail.
Yeah.
Hard Par, who completely blew the start and is in a later race this weekend, got right over the rail and made this huge run up the rail to get 3rd. Koru is riding the rail, but as soon as Manny Franco spun out to the 3-path top, it's not, Manny didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing he's supposed to know. He's giving it a perfect ride. Rail, angle out in the stretch. The horse just started spinning its wheel. My life story. This is why I put her second. I didn't love her last time, okay, or him last time. But he was 2 to 3 wide the entire way around the racetrack. So there's a real possibility he was dramatically compromised by the racetrack. And this is a horse that was 8 to 5 against these horses last time and is now 5 to 1 in the morning line. So I'm using that horse. But it's a if you watch that replay from the standpoint of watching the rail horses, it's wild.
Yeah.
It really is.
So it's a state-bred 40 maiden claiming race, and to me, this is it's one of the really interesting races on the card.
And you go through, and let's talk about, okay, Tis the Prince on the inside.
You can't toss this. This
Dropping
horse you can
down
make a case for.
has never run against maiden claimers. So some tough maiden claimer.
Temple Creed, first time out, ran capable.
I agree. I think Temple Creek is definitely moved forward. The one thing I'd say is that she already ran a maiden claimer. That is a knock, but I agree. That horse ran well enough to be a player in this race. There's a lot going. I don't like English Castle because that horse was on the rail every single step of the way in there.
I think Mizertronic, the 8, has some interest stretching out.
Stretching on the turf for Kerry Bryan. 1 for 23, 48-cent ROI, 4 hitting the board with maidens 0 for 14 with 1 hitting the board. But is a huge price in here. This is an interesting race. I agree. And I wish I loved somebody. There's an argument I should have put My Life Story on top because she's the one that ran against the bias. I'll hone in on those 2, but as noted by me, I'm going to use the 1 as well. I don't like Dakota Country at all.
Okay.
Drawing post 12 after the last trip.
You have a long way to get over and save. get some position.
I know, but I'm still worried that horse had the best of it, like you said, and I just feel like others ran better.
Brother to Ramblin' Wreck, Dakota Gold, who was just second to Spirit of St. Louis. Both of them stakes winners. Pretty good pedigree.
It was fun, Greg. Should we do it again next Thursday?
I look forward to it.
All right. You need to head over to Naira Bets. Head over to Naira Bets. Use the promo code SPA250, and we'll match for $250 of your initial deposit. Play through Naira Bets. Check out the track stats. I got to get these fast because they're motoring through these. Track stats, check them out. You got a middle pick 4, race number 4, 2, 4, and 7 of today's 10 race card. Got to sign up for that Superfecta bonus. Opt in for that. 16% bonus on Superfectas. You want to got till tomorrow's post time to sign up for the $40 feeder for the $300 weekend contest. Go over to nairabets.com/contest and 1 to 6:30 on FS2. I'm gathering they're starting out in the apron set.
It looks that way.
Feels
yeah.
like it. The
They
old
left their
apron
notes
set.
there. I hope they don't fly away.
They might. They might. It's always a possibility. We're done, Greg. Thank you very much. Frank Miramonti's just getting revved up. He'll be back with the reprise, the scratch and changes, in just about 10 or 15 minutes. Have a great day at Saratoga.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.